Hello everybody, my name is Kanoi Manika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today, we're, I guess, theoretically moving out of my usual comfort zone of, it's still an S.H.Figuarts unboxing, but usually when I'm unboxing S.H.Figuarts, it's based on, manga and anime and/or Marvel characters. As such, I haven't really had a DC character on the channel as of yet, I guess just because, their movie output for the longest time, which is the main brunt of what gets these high-quality S.H.Figuarts toys, hasn't been great. A certain movie changed that thing, at least for a small bit of the future. Who knows how it'll go from here. We're finally getting a figure from it, a high-end figure that isn't from fucking McFarlane, the fucking shittiest action figure company on the market right now, probably. That's probably wrong. There's probably someone worse than them, but McFarlane does kind of suck. But today, we are finally taking a look at a pre-order that was long awaited and finally clearing out my current pre-order backlog that was started by me getting sick a couple months ago. That's right, today we are finally taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Superman. Parentheses, Superman. That's a side thing that I do want to talk about. This is very funny. It's very non-specific. Because it's Superman from Superman. Like, it could have included a date or that it's the Nathan Cornswet version, given it's his face. But I guess they can only do it from the title of the film. He's Superman. Superman. Yeah, here it is, in all of its glory, I guess, and it's been a controversial release, which has led many people, from what I've seen, to just choose not to pick it up, which is fair as hell. It's a very expensive figure, and if you don't like how something looks, you shouldn't buy it. I like this movie, I like S.H.Figuarts, I had some faith, so I'm gonna see if that faith was justified. And also, I did generally like what I saw enough to feel justified in making a purchase. Here is the box, which honestly looks very nice. We have this wonderful little blue background, which is a sort of collage of a bunch of different like Superman comics and projects. Like obviously it's got the new logo, but like these are like illustrations from like different comics. Like that's like a very nice like Alex Ross one, and then we have like Action Comics #1 in the collage as well. I can't identify all of them. If you have any ideas of what some of these are, let me know in the comments below. We obviously have, alongside that blue background, the Bandai Namco logo, the Tamashii Nation sticker, as well as a window that allows us a decent look at the figure himself, as well as some of his accessories. We have this promo shot, which is just some sort of like general promo imagery of this version of Superman. Then we have the film's logo, that it's from DC. Superman, parentheses, Superman, that, but in Japanese. Tamashii Nations and Bandai, this was made in China, as well as all your usual copyright holder logos. And also, something to note, this is all in silver foil. Some places do cover the silver foil when they ship it out to you, but yeah, it's a nice shiny look, which I wasn't expecting, but I am glad that is there. The top continues the window. Also, the window has the S.H.Figuarts quote in a metallic print right there. The top shows you the S.H.Figuarts logo again. Superman, Superman, DC Studios Superman, and then more of that collage, as well as a little bit more of the window, as I just said, I think. At the bottom, this is where the English release puts the little logo, but it says S.H.Figuarts Superman, Superman behind that, and it has another promo shot of the figure itself. On this side, we have a close-up shot of the face, which we will get to. DC Superman, Superman, S.H.Figuarts, again in that silver foil, and then a bunch of nice collage art of different Superman drawings. On this side, we get a generic standing shot of the figure, Superman, Superman, DC, S.H.Figuarts. And on the back, we get the usual promo shots, the simple style and heroic action, where it has Superman flying, him doing that punch when he's in that alternate dimension prison in the film, him doing a fairly standard like flying Superman pose, but like more actiony, an image of his two faces. Even on the back here, though, they do continue the silver foil, which I appreciate. The Superman logo, usual legalese. This is a video for adult collectors. But yeah, I've been yearning for a Superman figure, even more than a Batman figure. I don't think I have a high-quality Batman figure yet. I'm still deciding which one I want to get. But the only Superman I've had is the McFarlane one, which is from like the initial wave of DC Multiverse, which is kind of ass. I think it's fine, but like those things are always out of scale, and I hate it so much. So I've been waiting for something that's nice and 6-inch. So let's take a look. There is an instruction booklet, but no backing. Interesting. Let's pull it out. But yeah, no backing, because, ooh, it has like a sort of crystalline look to kind of evoke the Fortress of Solitude, which is nice. I like that. And the back, we have a little instruction manual to show you how the figure works, how to get things swapped out, all of that good jazz. Because he is a very simple figure, all things considered. But here he is with everything that he comes with, which for the price of this thing isn't a lot. That is something I will note. I can imagine part of why, but let's go over it. First off, I'll go over the less controversial of the accessories. It is a fairly thick package, though. So on the figure, he has fists, but he also comes with a set of grapplers, as you can see. They look fairly nice. They are fairly standard for S.H.Figuarts. I do wonder about the skin tone. I don't know. It's a fairly one-note thing, and for someone who's like a real guy, maybe some brushed detail would have been nice. I usually don't demand like a high level of like weathering or fading or shadowing or whatever. Mainly because I collect like stuff from like anime and like from cartoony looking things, and even with like tokusatsu where the simple blocked like colors is kind of the point, and going for something a little bit more naturalistically shaded would make it look ugly in my opinion. But like here I wonder if like a light amount of shading would have helped a bit. Yeah, we have these grappler hands, and then you also have some more standard hands. The sculpting is fairly nice. It does have some nice naturalistic detailing. Yeah, these are nice too. Some fairly standard hands, which should be good for flying poses. But yeah, nothing too special. They aren't really painted at all, so yeah, that's all the hands. I don't know what else he really could have come with, though. There's one more accessory, which is where things get a little controversial. He has one alternate head sculpt. Here it is. It is a sort of angrier head, and in comparison to promo shots, I do think it looks better. Like, I think we can see them here, where like a lot of the promo prototypes look really rectangular and squared off and kind of bad in that. Like, I compare it to the promo shot there. Like, obviously it's a little bit of the angling, but it does look nicer having it in 3D, having it in hand, having it in person. It looks, admittedly, more like David Cornsweat. I think a lot of the complaints have come from it not really looking like him, and I still see that in these promo shots. Let's like take a look at this. And like there's, as it is now, I think outside of like skin tone, which might be a bit too orange potentially, it kind of feels like he has a little bit of like a bit more makeup than like you would expect. Like obviously every actor, especially in like a film like this, is going to have some makeup. That's just part of the I guess filmic process. I guess put another image of David Cornsweat, and like his head is a little bit more rectangular and a little bit more like a generic comic-y Superman, which is I think part of why I'm generally fine with it. And I think the other face does look better, which we'll get to. I think it's going for like a level of slight exaggeration since it is a smaller model, which I'm not sure fully works. The hair sculpt is nice though. I think it's shared between the two, but I do like the little swoosh in the hair right there, and then the toning back does look nice. It's well sculpted. But yeah, I think also another big problem is, which I think is something that's coming across a lot of the live action non-Kamen Rider S.H.Figuarts, where they have like a revealed face, is that the faces don't really have a lot of expressiveness. Like they don't come with a lot of faces, I think because getting a human down takes a lot more budget, even where it is a little bit off like this. I don't think they use their budget well. All the faces feel very similar. Like this is a very subtle angry expression, where I would have liked a like happier expression, like a big old smile or something alongside it. But like even still, it's very like you can see this with the live action Usopp and Sanji that they revealed recently too, where those two also don't really come with a lot of interesting expression parts, unfortunately. But yeah, this isn't as bad, but it's not my favorite face. I don't think it's one I'm going to be using all that much. And that's it for the accessories. Now, I noted how I don't really think there's many more hands you could do. Like, maybe you could, but they would feel kind of frivolous at that point, and I'm sure you can maybe steal some hands from another S.H.Figuarts, and since they all use like the same peg system, I imagine you'd be able to fit one that has a fairly matching skin tone and get some unique creative kit bashing if you have the parts available. But I do think you could have had some more superpower expressive parts, whether it be like a whooshing effect that's like the ones that are coming in like the upcoming S.H.Figuarts All Might, or some eye blast lasers that could attach to a set of eyes similar to like the Usopp goggles, or even just be a separate headpiece. I do feel like you could have had some expression of his superpowers through accessories, again like the S.H.Figuarts My Hero Academia line does, but they just didn't do that. I mean, I can see where some of the budget has gone. This has some nice budgetary things, but I do think it's a little overpriced, all things considered. And I'm only really buying it because this is like one of my favorite movies of 2025, if not of all time. Yeah, but yeah, with the accessories out of the way, I do want to take a look at the figure himself. So let's do that. So pulling him out, he's kind of swaddled. That's an interesting texture. I don't think I've ever felt, because the fabric is kind of the point. So let's unwrap the cape and pull out this, where there's a little bit of like a plastic molded insert to go in between, I guess, because it wouldn't work. It would crease the cape otherwise, which is nice. Yeah, it is a bendy wire cape, which we'll get to. He's a little wobbly. He feels a bit almost Ultraman Taro-like, though not quite as bad as the suit Taro. But yeah, he feels a bit loose tolerance-wise. Just getting him out of the plastic immediately, which I guess is worth noting. Maybe the cape weighed him down in the package, but like I don't know if that is really for the hips. It's not going to be anything where like it's going to prevent poses. I don't think it's going to sag, really. I mean, it might sag with time sooner, but I don't think like it'll prevent poses. The cape is fairly lightweight, thankfully, and the body isn't doing anything too like heavy. So like, while like say a pose like that, well, you see, like poses are tenable. It's just not got a pleasant hand feel if you catch my drift. But yeah, let's do a full rotation before we start going in. The white balance and the camera is making it a little bit, I guess, of a richer blue than is showing up in real life. The red is about the same though on the shorts. It's that sort of dull maroon almost. Let's do a full rotation of the figure. Here's the back, which has the S logo printed on, thankfully. First off, I do want to take a look behind there, and that's where the logos are. Yes, here's his back. This is what he looks like from behind. Fairly simple affair, but we'll get there. But yeah, it's a fairly simple suit, but like I do think they did put a decent amount of effort into getting it right. So let's take a look. But yes, here is the other head, which I do think looks better. I do think looks more like David Cornsweat, and even more than the promo images. Seeing it in person, I do think it looks fairly nice. And I think something you've got to take in as a frame of reference is that they're trying to, I think, exaggerate it to almost make it look a little bit more cartoony, in part because part of their philosophy, I think, in making live-action Western characters is to add a sort of cartoony brightness, a cartoony simplicity that, like, say, the Kamen Rider suits might have, because the S.H.Figuarts started as a Kamen Rider line. It started with live-action items, but those live-action designs are fairly bright and simple in their styling, so I guess the sort of over-detailing that a lot of Western superheroes tend to, I guess, have, or Western properties in general, I guess isn't as much of a prominent theme. Like, they'll be fine with like a simple, I guess, spandex suit a lot more than a Western film would. They're trying to exaggerate it a little bit, and again, it gives it a David Cornsweat in thicker makeup than was in the film sort of aesthetic, which is definitely not everybody's speed. I think it works. I think it does look better. It does look more like David Cornsweat than some people, I think, give it credit for. Again, it's just like a lot of extra definition is being put on, like, especially like look around the eyes. I think that's what kind of throws it off for people, and it just looks like he's wearing a thick layer of mascara. But I do think it works. There's just a general, I guess, thickening of it. It's hard to defend. I can't necessarily defend it. If you do want this look, this is not going to be perfect. It certainly looks off. I think for me it works, even if it won't work for you. So I guess consider it at your own, I guess, pace, at your own tastes. Maybe wait for a Mofex. I'm sure a Mofex will show up at some point, which will be a lot more interesting likeness-wise. Again, the hair is about the same. They're basically the same head sculpt, but just with a swapped face. But they don't do facial swaps, I guess. They do the full head. It's whatever. But yeah, it looks fairly nice, but where it looks a little bit better is in the body of the torso. For one, I really like the specific way that the cape is able to be bunched up around the shoulders. It works. It works. And the cape overall, I think, works. This is probably one of the best aspects of the figure, that he has a cloth goods cape that has the S logo printed in, I guess. You'll obviously have to keep it clean, and it has this interesting, like, almost rough texture in comparison to, like, say, the Spider-Verse ones, which they've all had unique textures when I've gotten soft goods. Usually it's a bit more like, I guess, like a smoother velvety texture, but this one has like a rough feel to it, which I kind of like, and I think it kind of works. Obviously, it is bendy wire, and like with all cloth goods, there's going to be a level of thickness to it that isn't quite congruous with the figure, but I do think it works. And you're obviously able to, thanks to the bendy wire, sculpt it in whatever way you think looks pleasing. Obviously, right now I have what I consider like more of a stock standard look, which I probably need to refine a little bit. But yeah, behind that, you can see a little bit of the body, and obviously that the belt continues around the back. It's kind of hard to do because of the shadows, I apologize, but yeah, that's where your copyright information is, yippee. Yeah, so around the front, you can see a lot of that nice texturing. It really does give the figure a level of detail. Obviously, some of the plasticky sheen is a little bit off, and you might want to try to see if you can't run over this with like a top coat, like a matte top coat, though I'm not sure how to remove the cape. I'm not sure you'll be able to remove the cape to be able to do that very easily, unfortunately. But maybe like trying to remove bits and pieces to try to give it a top coat, though this does look nice. And the S logo does look good too. It feels a little bit color-wise a bit softened. The edges aren't quite as sharp as I would like, and there's a little bit of paint bleed, unfortunately, but it captures the look pretty well, I think, of the S shield that is on this Superman, and it pairs well with just the general rest of the texturing. Again, maybe some very specific, very pointed bits of, I guess, like shading, mainly some lightning, I think, like a lighter blue texture, almost like jeans would help. I do think they do give some unique texturing. The raised bits don't have the bumpy sort of hexagonal texture of the rest of the fabric, so it is able to shine in the light a little bit differently. Even without, like, there's no paint going on there, but it is able to highlight the texturing a little bit differently, which I think is quite neat and quite interesting. And I do like the way that the neck works as well, the collaring works. The arms, again, fairly simple. They have very nice sculpting and texturing, which looks quite like the one in the series, or in the film, soon to be films, I think. And he didn't appear in Peacemaker. But yeah, it does look like the DCU Superman quite well. It has that little bit of cuffing at the front, all that unique texturing, and I'm able to really get into the weeds of it, because at a distance it's able to look like a fairly like simple Superman suit, but like it's very detailed when you get close to it, which does look very nice, and I imagine captured in the film very well. But yes, going down to, thank goodness, the shorts, they're also very nice. They're a bit of a marooner texture than I imagine they would be, which is fine enough. I think it does work with the specific color contrasts on the figure, though it doesn't quite match the shield's paint. But the belt is also painted and sculpted very nicely. Not a lot of paint splash. I think it's a little bit more on the backside, but I'm not really going to be seeing the backside. But yeah, decent butt sculpting, decent texturing on the shorts, and they look nice. And it does continue on to the legs, rather than doing it kind of does the Spider-Man thing, but not really, where it's like a very much more solid cap that moves around with the legs, and doesn't look great in all instances. Like outward, I don't think it looks awesome, but moving forward and back, I think it does work. Yeah, and then we have the nice legs going down here. These joints do feel a little bit evident, by the way. They feel a little bit too obvious, but the knee joints feel very well integrated, mostly because their backs are hidden. But also the kneecaps are very nicely done. They don't have like a difference in like texture or color, which some figures tend to struggle with. And it just looks nice. And then we have the boots, which have a little bit of panel lining in them to help highlight the details, oddly enough. Maybe that would have been appreciated with the other highlighted, like especially look at the fucking boots. I didn't notice this earlier, but they are very thickly panel lined. I guess because shoes are a little bit dirtier, but they have some nice panel lining, which does help to highlight it. And they also have a glossier texture as well, which does help them feel like the sort of latex-esque boots. And I think it works. Yeah, overall, I do think it looks fairly nice. It doesn't look like the best, which, I don't know, maybe for the price and given the amount of stuff that, or the lack of stuff it comes with, you would expect a little bit more paint budget. So I think it is worth criticizing for that. But I do think it is better than some people give it credit for. Is it worth its price? Probably not. I do want to get into the articulation, though, before I make that judgment. So I guess let's do that. Sorry for being a little bit scatterbrained in that. So head and neck are ball jointed. There's a ball joint at the upper neck and at the lower neck. I don't think they're barbells, but it gets the job done. He's able to look up very far, which is necessary for a Superman given the flight poses that you're going to want him to do. But yeah, it's a mixture of the upper neck and the lower neck doing the job well. He's able to look down as well. Yeah, he's able to look up, able to look down, able to do a full swivel, though you're going to want to be careful so as not to make sure that the alignment of this lower neck piece is solid. And then he has tilt side to side. Going down further, as mentioned before, I don't really know how to count it as a point of articulation, but the cape is bendy wired, so you can pose it however you want. It runs around, starting here at the shoulder area. It runs around down to the bottom and around this side again, so you have full range of this cape. It spreads out to about that far, which is very far. So it's going to be a little bit of a hassle, I think, to bunch it together in a way that feels natural, but I guess that it feels realistic for a cape. And I'm glad it isn't just a piece of plastic. If it was, I would be angry about the figure, but it isn't. So, but yes, moving down to the torso, we're going to move over those shoulders. There's a butterfly joint, which, oh, I popped off his shoulder. Yeah, it's able to move forward, not crazy, about that far. Let's see it with the other shoulder so that you can get a good idea of the cross. It's enough, I think. It could be more, though, to get some real good punching poses, but I do think it's better than some S.H.Figuarts, and I think it is enough. It's not really able to move back super far, though, so I guess just keep that in mind. It's a decent butterfly, better than some others I've seen, but it could be better, I think. The actual shoulder is getting in the way of the butterfly a little bit as well, so just, I guess, keep that in mind. Obviously, it's able to shift up and down because it's a ball joint in there as well, so you get the full sort of shoulder roll from the shoulder, which is to be expected with an S.H.Figuarts. It's able to swivel all the way around, and while the joint is exposed a little bit, it is able to be covered by the cape if you so choose, and it is able to move out greater than 90 degrees. It's able to be upward a little bit. Yes, you have a bicep swivel, as expected. You have a double jointed elbow, thank God. And then he has a swivel hinge swivel at the wrist, so it's able to work with standard S.H.Figuart hands. It's how they all work. You know, you should know this. Let's look at this torso, because it seems interesting. So, ball joint at the top, ball joint at the bottom. This upper joint really wants to move, so it's able to arc back very well, arc forward also fairly well, and it has a swivel there. The lower joint also swivels, though it is somewhat limited by the shorts, so you're going to want to double up the swivelage. Thankfully, there isn't too much that goes out of line that's noticeable when you do a double swivelage, so it works fine. This one's also able to move back very far and forward. Not as much, I think, on that lower joint, so, and it has some tilt side to side, so going full tandem, it's able to arc back forward, or back incredibly far forward. Not as much, but still quite well. That's a good arc forward. Not like perfect Spider-Man levels, but this is better than a lot of S.H.Figuarts Spider-Man. And has tilt side to side, which is just amazing. Moving on to the hips, they are standard ball joint, which are able to kick forward, that far, back, not super far, and out. Basically a full split, which is great. Thanks to these being sort of normal style rather than I think this is an instance where they probably should have been in the almost like I guess like cutout style that a lot of Superman or Spider-Man are. But so like in this pose it does look a little awkward. So I guess just be careful of the sculpt there. Though the thigh swivel is there, it is hidden. It doesn't go a full rotation. It's a little bit limited for my taste, but it is able to give you a decent amount for expressive posing, though it does get limited, as mentioned, by this little cap piece. Double jointed knee, able to move basically all the way, not quite a butt kick, but enough. No boot swivel, but there is a swivel, I guess, at the foot, so it is able to do that rotation. Able to go backward, very far, forward, fairly decently, tilt, basically all the way. This is in a sort of modern S.H.Figuarts ankle style where there's like a little bit of an extra cap to help hide it. And then a toe bend, which is very good. Also, I didn't mention that there's some nice shoe texturing on the feet. So, he is honestly very posable. I do think, as a Superman, I think he's able to get into basically any pose you would want. I guess the only joint I'm not super happy with, is, I guess, the lower ab crunch could be a little bit further. The upper ab crunch is doing a lot of work, and I think it's able to get those specific, as kind of seen on the cover, these sort of specific, like, strongman-y aerial, like, poses. I think it's able to do enough crunching to get these sorts of poses well enough, but I do kind of wish there was a little bit more lower ab crunch, and I wish there was a little bit more forward butterfly, but overall, he is a very well-articulated figure. I think the thing is, I think this figure, outside of the facial controversy and the lack of accessories, is good. So if you find this on a bit of a discount, like I would say like maybe $60 or $70, I think he is fully worth it, fully worth your time, and fully worth it as just, I guess, like a Superman figure to own. as like, I guess, just a solid Superman. I wish he had a smiling facial expression. I wish he had some superpower expression parts. But yeah, I do think as a figure, this is one of the best Supermans you can get on the market, oddly enough. And I'm very much biased. I like this movie version, though I guess that should make me more critical of the face, which I think is fine. Again, I think the faces are fine, just a little bit over-exaggerated in a way that I don't think quite works. But yeah, I think contrary to popular belief, this Superman is pretty solid. Not in any way like bad, but I don't think it's amazing either. We'll see if it gets on the top 15. I'm doubtful. I think it's enough to get an honorable mention, though. And this video is very long for a figure with 5 accessories. But yeah, I think it's just because there's a lot to talk about. Because this is a figure with a lot of controversy, a lot of, I guess, history behind it. And I just think it's pretty solid. Not amazing. I don't think it's for everyone. I think others might want to wait for a different Superman figure. But for me, I think this does work, especially because it poses well. Like, it poses really well, I think. It's got some great points of articulation, and I cannot deny that the cape. And I think the accessories, as much as I do think this isn't quite... With the lack of accessories, I don't think it's quite living up to its price point. I think, if anything that I can do on my own, I think it is accessories. Like, I think you can probably... Like, he doesn't need more hands, and for the power accessories, you can probably either find a different, like, some sort of online custom Etsy accessory pack, or just, like, another figure that might have accessories that you might want. Like, maybe you could steal the blast effects from that upcoming All Might that comes out in November, and use that for a big old Superman punch, or just get some, like, beam sabers and sticky tack them to the eyes to use as eye lasers. Like some of these. Like, you could probably just... This is from the Red Gundam, which is like $20. Get some of these 1/144th scale beam sabers and turn those into temporary, I guess, eye beams. There are some that are a bit more red than that. So yeah, just get like a high grade Gundam model kit with some red beam sabers and use those for the eye lasers. And I think you're good, because I think what this figure does is get the base of the figure near perfect. The faces are obviously going to be debated about. I think they work fine. If they're not to your taste, that's okay. But since it gets the base solid, it's something that, if you're not happy with what it comes with, you can build up from. But I don't think you necessarily should for something that costs as much as this does. This is very expensive, and I do not think you necessarily should, so consider it at your own risks. I'm personally pretty happy with my purchase, but I don't think everyone will be. But yes, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to let me know by doing the stuff with the video. Give me a like if you liked the video or whatever about it. Leave a comment with whatever thoughts you may have that are related to the figure, the video, the whatever. And for more, there are multiple ways you can engage with the channel elsewhere. There are previous videos that you can check out. I've done a lot of videos on the S.H.Figuarts Across the Spider-Verse figures that you may want to check out. And be sure to subscribe, just in case I pick up any future releases that may be in line with this. I know I pick up a lot of superhero stuff in general, so if you want other superhero action figure recommendations, be sure to subscribe. And yeah, until next time, I hope to see you around. Bye-bye!